As entrepreneurs, we all have a reason why we chose to leave our 9 to 5 for an 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. I'm here to capture those stories of why we all hustle and grind for our companies. With over 30 years of experience in sales to chefs and restaurants, Lynde Kaufman leads Sunrise Produce Company. Recently, she founded K-Girl's Kitchen, a woman-owned bakery known for its award-winning artisanal loaves. Lynde and her daughters, Chloe and Hayley, won first place at the LA County Fair, leading to their products being stocked by Gelson markets in LA and other upscale stores. K-Girl's Kitchen now has a nationwide e-commerce customers and partnerships with US Foods and KeHE. Lynde is affiliated with WBENC, the Specialty Food Association, and the International Dairy Deli Bakery Association. So, Lynde, thank you so much for being on the podcast today. I really appreciate you being here. And I have to say, you have possibly the greatest product. You make
Thank you.
like these sweet breads. And I have to say, when I tasted the cinnamon is just now my new favorite thing. That's awesome. You have this amazing story behind you, and you've really done a lot over almost 30 years at this point. And so thank you so much for being on the show today. I'm really looking forward to having a great chat with you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Awesome. So, we hear the intro whenever you get in, but I always like to ask entrepreneurs, what is your ninja skill? Because I want to hear it from I want to hear somebody's passion. I want to hear what they have to say about it. So specifically, what's your ninja skill? What does your business do?
Well, for sure, my ninja skill is relationships. That's my my life skill for everything. My ability to build a relationship with someone out of nothing, like really to build. So I would say that for sure has helped me with every job or every career I've ever had. It's definitely been the big and a big motivator too, just because you've got to get in that groove and you're like chatting with somebody and you got this whole thing going on and you're like, I've got this sale, or I've got this, they understand what I'm trying to, sell, or they understand who I am or my story. So I would say that would be the big one.
And I think that's a huge skill for us to have as visionaries and as entrepreneurs and people that own businesses, is that just the communication and the building the relationships. I'm a very strong believer in your network is your net worth. You have a group of people around you, and business really should be, let's go out and do some really cool things with my friends. We're going to go out and build some really cool stuff. We're going to go see what we can do, see what we can push, see what boundaries we can push, see if we can build this massive thing, see how much we can create. And I think having the people around us is really important for that. And so absolutely. No, I totally resonate with that. So you've got a business doing breads at this point. And you also have a story behind how you got started in this one when you were 11. And I want to hear that story because I think it's a really interesting origin story and one that some people are going to resonate with.
So no, this is, I love telling the story because it definitely resonates with all of us, like, entrepreneurial kids that, you don't really realize. So I used to bake with my grandma. I baked and I cooked with my grandma, and we used to make these killer chocolate chip cookies. And I would bring them home to my parents, and my dad said, hey, let's make some samples and we'll take them to the market. My father was a produce broker, and he would go to the LA produce market every morning. And so I made some samples. I gave them to him, again, 11 years old. And I don't know. I apologize.
That's okay.
I don't know what that is. So I made some samples, and he said, okay, great. You're going to go with me.
Okay.
And I said, wait, what? It's 3 a.m. He goes to work at 3 a.m. So he woke me up at 2:30, and we got up, we went to work, and I gave samples out to all these produce guys down at the produce market. And it was like back in the 70s where it was dark out, and the guys were hunched around the big trash can with the fire, and they were all telling us dirty jokes and stories. And here's this little 11-year-old girl going, here, you want to try the cookies? So I took the orders. And I went back the next week and I baked with my best friend. I had her bake with me. She I told her I could pay her. Was paid in cookie dough because that was her favorite commodity. So I paid her in cookie dough, and then I baked the cookies and I brought them back the next week and I sold them. And then fast forward like 30 years when I was actually selling produce for a living, I was walking the market one day and someone's like, "Hey, where are my cookies?" And I'm like, "Oh my God." So it was like kind of something known down at the produce market, at least for the cronies that had been around a long time.
So you sort of became the cookie lady, even when you were selling
Yeah.
produce.
Lindy's
It sort of
Lushies.
transformed.
Yeah, Lindy's Lushies. So
Interesting.
yeah,
Huh.
that
So
started.
I think that's funny. It's just that, even years later, people are like, where are my cookies? So, you were onto something. If
Definitely
people
onto
years later ask,
something.
those have to be damn good cookies. But the thing, I think then later on, you went on to found another company, K Girl's Kitchen.
Yes.
Yes. What was the story behind that?
So I was selling produce. I had been selling produce for 25 years. And
Mhm.
during that time frame, I would bake with my daughters, just like I would bake with my grandma. So I would bake with my daughters. And we started baking this every year for the holidays. I would give the chefs, so I would sell produce to chefs and restaurant owners in Southern California. And so
Mhm.
during the holidays, I would always bake them something because I just wanted to give them something more than just like the company swag and whatever.
Mhm.
So we came up with this pumpkin chocolate chip loaf. And it was kind of like Bisquick, it was like a really simple elementary like loaf, but it was like out of this world. And the
Uh-huh.
chefs always went crazy for it. And so one year after like, I don't know, 10 years of this, we decided to enter in the LA County Fair, the Bake Off.
Yeah.
And it came in first place. And at the
Huh.
time, yeah. And so, and then at that moment, we had a CEO at our company, and he's like, I know somebody who can help, a co-packer who can help you with this. Why don't I take a loaf to them? And like one thing after another, kind of like, okay, so the co-packer said, yes, make a business plan. I'm like, a business plan for what? I have this loaf that everybody loves. Okay. Put together a business plan. She's like, let's get started. So we started like for about a year, we started working on the not so elementary, loaf. I couldn't do a Bisquick
Yeah.
5 ingredient thing. So we were working on that. And then meanwhile, that CEO that said, hey, I've got this person, he left. He came back to visit one day and he's like, hey, I've got an idea. And he flips through LinkedIn. He's like, call Gelson. I don't know if you know Gelson's in Southern
Yeah.
California. Super
Gelson's,
fancy.
yeah,
Yeah.
super fancy, really high end in
Yeah,
LA. Yeah.
high-end supermarket. They've got 28 locations. So he's like, hey, they're looking for local discoveries. Try to see if you can get an appointment. So I was like, you have to sell three sentences to try to get them to want to interview you or wanted you to do the pitch for them.
Mhm.
So I got the pitch and I, went in, I emailed them because I said, well, I don't have commercial packaging yet. We're not, they just said, just come in. So I ended up meeting with the top 3 executives of Gelson's.
Uh-huh.
Again, no commercial packaging, not quite ready, but I'm here. And they
Uh-huh.
loved it. And they're like, we love it. Let us know when you're ready. And so fast forward now a few months after the packaging's done, I brought it back to them and they said, we've been waiting for you to be ready for us. And I was like,
Uh-huh.
oh, can I put that
Wow.
quote on my wall? You've been waiting for you to be ready for us. So yeah, we've been
Yeah.
waiting for you to be ready for us. Yeah, I was just like, oh my God, I'm ready. I'm here. And they've taken every flavor ever since. And so I
Mhm.
have 3 flavors now, which is super exciting. They've been super supportive of me. And that was my
Mhm.
very first, and I wasn't ready. I
Yeah.
didn't really know, how long it would take to get ready. But I just was like, I'm doing it. I have this opportunity. I have to do it.
Nice.
So I think that's super important. When you have that little crack in the door,
Mhm.
just bust through it. You just have to,
Yeah.
because you never know when it's going to happen again.
Mhm. Yeah. And that's one of the things I think as entrepreneurs we're used to is just being able to jump off the cliff and then build the plane on the way down and just figure out how to make it work. I mean, you've
Right,
got, what I would say is probably one of the nicest supermarket chains in LA saying,
right,
hey, by the way, because I've shopped at Gelson's, Gelson's is awesome. It's, hey, we've been waiting for you.
right, right. Can you
Big
imagine?
deal.
It's like, yeah, it's a huge deal. And ever since that, it was like when I would do food shows or talk to other grocers, it's like, oh, you're with Gelson's. Oh, you're with Gelson's. Like,
Mhm.
yeah, it was that helped open doors. And so it's been super, really, really exciting.
Yeah.
And they just have, so I've always just had this, I tell my kids the worst they're going to do is say no. I've had no's. I've had a lot of no's. I've had, I make better than yours, blah, blah. I've heard it all.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just going to keep moving.
Yeah.
No is never, it's never for sure. It's just like, not right now.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. So true. And I think we said that earlier when we were talking, where it's like, sometimes that's not my ideal audience, it's not my ideal customer. And,
Right.
that if somebody is saying things like, oh, well, I can do better than that. Okay, great. Good luck. Go do it. Cool.
Right.
Okay. With my best blessings. I mean, I think a lot of times the higher, the more prominent you get, the more people take issues out. And
Right.
it's just managing that and understanding that it's not you, it's them.
Right.
And for me, it was one of those things I remember when I got my first hater, it was wonderful. It was on, I had posted something on a learning company on like how Heinz 57 doesn't really mean anything, that it's just a made up number. The guy who Heinz just really happened to like this number. And I had somebody come on and was just really nasty about, no, you are false information, blah, 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 blah. I had gotten it from the Heinz website.
Right. And so,
And I just didn't engage, but it was interesting. I went back to his Facebook profile because I'm just curious at this point, and
Right.
just everything was, you could tell this was a very angry, very
Right.
non-happy individual. And there was a lot going on. And he just felt badly, right?
Right.
So that's kind of how I see that, Yeah, at least
Right.
personal experience. But so you got into Gelson's, and where else has this, like, how far has this grown? Let's just ask.
We're still growing. Obviously,
Nice.
we from Gelson's, we're in Arizona and AJ's.
Okay.
And so AJ's is a really high end, again, similar. It's a similar to Gelson's, but it's in Arizona. So it's
Okay.
a super high end, really quality products in their stores, always unusual. They're always looking for new products that they see. So food shows, that's where I've been meeting, going to meet all these interesting markets from all over the country.
Uh-huh.
So, but meanwhile, when I had started, I still had a full-time job. I still, have to see my clients every week. I still have to do that. And so the transition to doing this completely on my own has been a big challenge. Plus, launching two girls off to college over these last 2 years. So there's been like a lot of transition happening during this time. So yeah, we just started online. That's been our newest thing. So we've been online. We have a lot of local specialty stores in Southern California that we're in. But most recently, we found out we're going to be on HSN. So that's going to be really
Nice.
exciting. So we're working on it. We're working on it.
Awesome. Oh, congratulations. 'Cause that is going to be an interesting experience. Just having known a few people who've done the HSN thing. It is intense. But it's usually when things blow up.
Right.
It's usually when things blow up, because you
We're
get in front of
counting
so
on
many
it.
different people. And one of the things that I've noticed is, like, just chatting with you, you've got that passion behind what you do. And I think that's something that comes across really well. Plus, you also have another aspect that's kind of cool, and that's going to go really well with HSN, is that's your business partner, who is,
My daughter.
there you go.
Right.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, what?
Sorry.
So yeah, so my daughter, who is in college, she's going into her second year of college. She has been both my girls have been helping me a lot. I mean, we baked together when they were little. Like, they were, greasing the pans and mixing the recipes and doing all that. So they've been a very intricate part of the whole process. We do tastings, we try products from all over the country. We all discuss the flavors and all that. But my youngest one, who's not so young, 19, she's been very active with me. After she graduated high school that last summer, she did all the farmers markets for me. I was not able to do it, so she handled the setup, the accounting, the sampling, the sales, basically start to finish, she handled all of it. And 18 years old, just out there hustling, which was super exciting. So she has gone, both my girls have come to food shows and helped me at the shows. And the people love that. I mean, that's an old shot. That was probably there's one more current one. I told them one of these days where you're going to have a photo shoot with the three of us as adults, right? I'm not the only adult in the room anymore. So they've both been super helpful, really involved. Hayley has been mostly more involved than Chloe has. And so she's done, food shows with me. She's been really helpful and really excited. And when I talk to her about what's happening, she's just like, what about this? And how did this go? And blah, blah, blah. So she shows a real interest, which is exciting. So with that, HSN, we're going to do that together. Awesome. So that'll be really exciting. And I see her blossoming into that sales girl that I once was, and so it's fun to see that her confidence build in that area. And so,
passing the torch on, to the next generation. And that is always a fun thing to watch.
Yes, that's the goal. That's the goal for sure.
So I was curious, because I think you always have that one kid where, you think that they're most parents don't have the words to be able to understand or see what this is, but you're like, oh, dude, you're going to be an entrepreneur. You kind of know from it. Is this something that you saw with Chloe, or is this something that that manifested later, or kind of what were your thoughts on that?
Well, it was Hayley. Hayley,
sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. So I noticed when she came to a food show with me, and it's a lot. Those food shows are a lot. So I have them come for a day and spend the day or whatever. So I didn't want to overwhelm them, because it's like there's a lot happening, and it's like, this is our opportunity, right? So she came, and I turned around one time, and she had this whole group of ladies. I think she was like, I don't know, maybe 15 at the time. Whole group of ladies from I think it was the HSN or QVC group of ladies. She was telling them the story. I'm listening out of one ear, talking to somebody out of another ear, and listen to her. And she's just telling the story and blah, 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 and sampling and talking and tasting. And I'm like, oh my God.
You're good.
I think this is the one. I think this is the one.
Awesome.
So so that was awesome. Chloe is the one, methodical. She's building. I need help with the booth. She'll, make everything perfect. She'll line it all up. She'll do, she's like the methodical. Hayley and I are more like, oh, come here, So
I wanted you to tell that story specifically because I think it's really interesting. First of all, it's always interesting to hear the story of an entrepreneurial mother who who is now helping pass the torch to their entrepreneurial daughter. And I also wanted you to tell the difference between the two of them, because I think it's funny. It's like one is this like total visionary out there doing their thing, good at sales, talk about, and then you also have your implementer daughter, who's really good about, the engineer, making sure things are going very well, make sure everything's lined up. And,
she took an hour the first time just to put this perfect box of sample loaves in, lined up, taped up perfectly, because that was going to be on display for 3 days. It had to be perfect, blah, blah, blah. She was just like, everything was dialed in, everything was perfect. So I knew that was her, strength, and I knew that was not the other one. So I think, it's a good balance.
Yeah, it's a different skill set. And I think once you've identified it, it's really good that you've identified that early, because they're two different lanes. And if you try to put an implementer in a visionary role or a visionary in an implementer role, the visionaries get bored. Right. Just honestly, we're all like that. And the implementer had no idea how to deal with the chaos. And I think the balance is really good. And so that's why I'm really happy to see both of it, both of those in the same family. I just thought that was really fascinating when you were telling me about that.
Absolutely. Yeah. And actually, Hayley, she went to college. When she went off to college, she was a psychology major. And then I think I'm going to do business as a minor. And now it's like, I'm going to be a business major. And then maybe I'll do psychology is very important for every industry. And then she's like, I think I'm going to do business as a major, and then psychology as the, as the minor.
Yeah. A lot of people don't know that there's actually a part of psychology. This is, again, mom's a shrink. This is what you learn. There's a specific type of psychology called industrial and organizational psychology. And there's like 2 schools in the world that teach it. Oh, wow. University of Akron is one of them in Ohio, of all places. But it's a psychologist that deals with organizations and how they work. And it's this
Interesting.
really weird niche,
Right.
that's super high demand. This is all about workplace culture from a psychological standpoint. So it's sort of the hybrid between the two. When I heard that, I'm like, okay, this might be something different. And a lot of people don't know that it's a thing, that there's
Oh,
just
for
one part of
sure.
psychology just in how organizations work. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Cool. Well, but so I'm really happy that you have this experience, you have all of these things with your daughters. I really wanted to have you on the show to tell that story because I think it's really interesting. A lot of times we don't get that. And it's like, what do I do with my entrepreneurial kids?
Right.
Here's a good example. Involve them
Right.
in what you're doing, have them go forward. They'll eventually figure it out. They may figure out a better way to do it, and then they'll
Right.
kind of follow the path, hopefully. And it's nice to see that balance, and I'm really happy for you.
Right. Thank you. No, it's exciting, and it's exciting to see them just turn into grown-ups,
Mhm.
and then let's see, like I said, go, where if you end up wanting to go work for a corporation or whatever,
Mhm.
bring that knowledge to us. Like
Yeah.
if that's something that you want to do, I would love to be able to just say, here, this is your company now. You
Mhm.
do with it what you think is best. I'm completely open for that.
Exactly. And it brings a different skill set, especially as you
Yeah.
grow. When you start in the startup world, it's a very different world than when it gets larger. Like over a million, million and a half, it's usually about when you start to really have to start get the corporate side of things in, where it's the
Right, right,
procedures and processes. And this is, that's where the
right,
implementers really shine, is about that mode. So you're not, it's at that moment where you start going from what is your title? Yes. All the things.
right,
Your chief everything officer,
right,
to actually building it. Yeah,
right,
that kind
exactly.
of phase.
Well, I
Yeah,
can't wait.
awesome.
I can't wait.
So we're getting towards the end of the podcast. I do have one question I ask, and that is, what is
Yes.
one book or podcast that has had a significant impact on your life that you can share with the audience?
So, well, there's a few, but I think the one that I love is Can't Hurt Me, David Goggins.
Yeah.
Um, I am not a reader, but I was forced to read it several years ago in a company I was working for. And I just was like, I use that as like, now I've read all of his books, of course, but I'm
Mhm.
like, Goggins ran 100 miles with two broken feet. We can do this. Like whatever it is, Goggins
Yep.
ran 100
Yep.
miles with two broken feet. We can do this. So I
Uh-huh.
kind of like have that mantra, like, come on, Lindy, if he could do it, we could do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's kind of been like in the back of my head, always like,
Yeah. It pushes you farther, and it shows you that you can do better than you
right.
ever thought you could. And that's what I got out of the book. And I love that book as well a lot. So awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Lindy, again so much for
Thank
being
you
on
so
the podcast
much.
today. I really appreciate you being here.
I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Anytime.
Thanks again for joining us on the Hustle and Grind podcast. If you'd like to learn more about Lindy, check out the link in the description.